Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
Today is Tuesday, June 10th. We're so glad to have you with us today. Alex, it's good to see you back. Will, always good to see you in the Blue Banana. And how are you guys today?
Oh, I'm good. Sorry, I was muted at first. I was just gonna leave you hanging there. How are you guys today? We just stare blankly into the screen. No, dude, I'm doing good. My original account is still not back yet, so the original account is not there. Also, Aishwary is probably really confused why I'm dressed like this, so there'll be an explanation. But my original account was banned. Still is it's unbanned now. It's still broken, so that's sad. But in the meantime, I'm a dolphin throughout the rest of the week, which is an inside joke with the community. So it'll be 2 weeks as the dolphin, and then the dolphin will be lightly retired. So that's sad, but I'm having a good time with this. And markets are looking pretty damn green right now. And the altcoin market's looking really hot too. So I'm looking to make some trades, which is always exciting.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I made a video yesterday about conviction because a friend of mine who you might describe as a whale trades in size and followed their conviction a few weeks ago to a fairly long bet on a couple of assets we know and love like Bitcoin and ETH. And yesterday cashed out 2 different trades for a total of $1.4 million.
Ooh.
Can you believe it?
Wee.
And I was just like, way to go. They said to me, "Are you nervous? Do I need to pull back?" And I said, frankly, I'm a lot more nervous about some people I know who are gambling with their grocery money than I am about you betting on assets that you actually have conviction in, well earned through like your long-term research. You know what I mean? So if you've got conviction, if you're trying to build conviction, if you've got a crypto question, a suggestion, a good joke, word of wisdom, let us know. Alex, how are you doing today, man?
Good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's good to have you back, man. We were sad to miss you yesterday. You missed a really great episode. People were really excited to hang out with Zara. Matana
Some of it, yeah, it looked good.
It was nice.
It's going to be a super fun like connection for us. I think a lot of folks are checking them out. If you saw the show yesterday, if you've looked into Matana further, if you have questions about it, let us know. Zara is also in the Rise Up Discord server, so you can talk to her directly, and I know that she would love that. This seems like a good time to very quickly tell you that if you are trying to learn crypto, in addition to coming to the Rise Up Morning Show, a great resource is to find any community that you vibe with, but especially one where folks aren't going to try and sell you something, where they're oriented around helping each other learn and grow. And the community we recommend, the one that we cultivate, is the Rise Up Discord server. But it's so much more than a Discord. It's a forum of learners at all levels of experience. We've got all kinds of free resources for you, everything from a Web3 glossary to how to do your own research, that thing people are always telling you. You can find the link to the Discord at theriseupmorningshow.com. And there's so much more there. Honestly, the only thing missing, my friends, is you. Check out those links. Let us know what you think. And then get ready, because we've got a really killer show today. We have got Aishwary Gupta, who is, get this title, we have got the global head of payments, exchanges, and real-world assets at Polygon Labs. And he's also the head of business development for the entire country of India. He has previously had experience at American Express, PwC, and I think we should just go ahead and bring him up to the stage. What do you guys think? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Aishwary Gupta. Aishwary, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for making time to join us, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here in the show.
Absolutely. How do you say your title to people when you meet them at conferences without taking like 3 breaths?
Simple one. I don't tell them. I just say I work at Polygon as an intern.
That'll do it.
The classic intern. Okay.
It's the best way to kind of go out and have the conversation. Like, people you don't want to chat with, they will just ignore you and go. and
Uh-huh.
because they feel you're an intern and like hence cannot take any decisions. And then people whom you actually want to talk to, you can actually get more time to talk to them.
I feel like that is one of those unwritten things, or maybe it's excessively written and just understood across all of Web3 that people want to get with you. You want to talk to the interns. The
Yes.
intern is like the classic, like, plus the intern's running all the socials. The intern is probably making crazy decisions. If you, that's actually a really good one. Maybe I need to start introducing myself as the Rums intern.
I also really like it because you can be like, oh, I'm the intern. And then, like, if at some point halfway through the conversation, you're like, oh, did I say intern? Sorry, I meant to say full title. And then you see eyes get bigger. Oh,
Yeah, Alex, I
Exactly.
refer to you as the intern
three
anyway.
things I shouldn't have.
So I imagine as like head of anything at a major blockchain ecosystem, that means you're pretty busy and you probably do spend a lot of time talking to not just people at Polygon on your team, but it sounds like you have kind of an international role in terms of the business development for India. Like I know is a hotbed of blockchain activity, but you probably also have internal, external, all kinds of partnerships. Can you tell us more about like day to day what you spend your time doing?
Yeah, I think so. From my perspective, like I'm managing the team globally, so there are 3 time zones that I have to adhere to. When you wake up in the morning, the APAC team has all the external calls scheduled for you already. Then, when you go into the afternoon, you have the EMEA team or the European team kind of going out and saying we need to chat with these partners. And then you have the evening where the US wakes up and says, "Oh, you're done. Your day is not yet done." We have the US calls as well. So I think that is how, like, the way I kind of go out and strategize on those days is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all these calls like externally. Thursday is more like talking to the team internally, stakeholders. There are like 8 people that report to me. So all those 8 people, one-on-ones, quick 15-minute catch-ups, trying to understand what they're doing, where they're stuck, how to unlock them. And then like Friday is more like in-person meetings, so going out, meeting people, having lunch with some people, stakeholders, and all those things. And then Saturday is a break, and Sunday is like, oh, you have a next week coming in. There's tons that is still left to do. So just clear out like 2, 3 hours, clear out all those things, and then go into the Monday.
Wow. I'm impressed at the discipline. But you have a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. Like it's not your first rodeo.
I mean, so from a management perspective, like I've really tried, I've tried to shy away from that. Reason being, like I really love being like a lone guy who's working out, winning the way the word you want to win. But then, like effectively, you realize at a point of time that you need a bigger team. You cannot run the show alone. You need to have more people in, and then you also need to kind of have them in a way at the speed at which you work. So I think still like I have managed people in the past, but not as robust as a team that I'm doing right now because like all the across the time zones they're just working relentlessly to kind of go out, close deals, have the conversations, send out details, and there's so much that is happening in the ecosystem and payments and RWA is like the hottest chick in the whole universe right now of crypto. So you get a lot of people who essentially are wanting to do all these names that you're hearing right now in the entire world of these people are coming to stable coins and all these other use cases. We're talking to all of them, so everyone requires a lot of you can say hand holding or a lot of like expertise that we bring on the table. So it's a all in all job. Like you learn a lot of things in the job. You have to firefight half of those things as well because someone is going out and saying that this is not working. Someone is saying, oh, what happened to the legal agreements and all those things. The good thing is I have a team to go out and take care of it, but yeah, in the end, like you still manage like 8 people who are like very 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 aggressive in what they do on a daily basis. So you're literally kind of ensuring that everyone is like in the right track. They're not falling through the cracks, and like they're winning from their individual perspective.
So tell us more about the Polygon playbook then, because I want to be completely honest with you. Until probably, I don't know, what would you guys say, last year, I was not hip to all that like Polygon was cooking under the hood. I started to become aware of some of the like plans for DeFi through the knowledge that actually stablecoins for the purpose of payments on Polygon Network. This is a big thing in blockchain. Everybody's kind of working on their own little thing, but I had no idea how much that Polygon specifically was doing. And I'd love to hear if there are, generally speaking, what the vision was, payments at Polygon. And then also maybe if you've got any quick facts that'll blow people's mind about the infrastructure you built or the way people are using your solutions. I'd love to hear those too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a Polygon's perspective, like if you look at it, payments, I've been doing payments like for a long period of time. At Polygon, so almost like 3 years. I was like basically the first full-time DeFi hire at Polygon. So there
Wow.
were only like 4 people in DeFi who took the Polygon to the peak of DeFi, like in 21 summers. And then, so I started from there. Been here at Polygon for 4 years now. So from there, slowly started carving out payments, then having the whole payments vertical, then bringing other verticals under me. So that has been a big journey. And like along with that, like we've matured as well. Like 21, we had a lot of those enterprises coming in, a lot of those announcements happening. And then realistically, we went to a place where we were like, okay, how many of these are actually going to go forward? Because a lot of things that we realized during the process was someone was actually going out and doing the deal, not because they wanted to do the deal, but because they wanted to get a promotion. So they want to say, "Oh, I did an innovative project, right?
Yeah.
So did an innovative project with this blockchain company, and like everyone just following the trend." So that is where we were like when we reached there, and then we realized, oh, this is not something where people are adopting blockchain. This is like just gonna be non-sustainable. And then like also internally, what started to happen was like there were a lot of internal startups that got created, which was like someone was doing on the DA level, someone was going out and doing something on the ZK side. So I think 6 months back, 6 months or like 8 months back, we started kind of analyzing what's happening on Polygon, because like a lot of people were wanting to do a lot of things on Polygon. We onboarded a lot of people. What is actually happening? Is there anything that is actually happening on the chain? I think that's where we kind of went out and like found out like there are only three major things that are happening on Polygon. So payments, like just throwing some facts, out of the total 8 million user base of USDC, we are one third of that user base. So we are the biggest USDC user base. Around 2.4 million active users of USDC are on Polygon. We are the third biggest user base for Tether USDT. We Our cumulative annual volume right now is somewhere around $134 billion in stable coins. And then like from a perspective of just like if you look at micro transactions, like small transactions, 41.5% of the total micro transactions on the entire blockchain space are happening on Polygon.
Mhm.
So you say whether there'll be a Venmo of crypto, like it's already there, right? It's already there. We already are kind of like working in that side, and like everyone is using us. So there are cities who essentially are actually going out and just using. So city of Lugano, where you have that Satoshi's idol that is put out. So in that city, there are two chains which work. Like one is Bitcoin chain and the second is Polygon chain. So you're actually going out and doing all those expenses on Polygon whenever you're wanting to go out and do that. So I mean, there are a lot of applications which are there. Then we went into fintechs. Look at it from the word perspective. Like Latin America, Mercado, Lemon, biggest fintechs. They work with Polygon, US, Robinhood, Stripe, Bridge. Then you go to Europe, Revolut is there. Then you go to like Asia, so you have Grab, you have all those big apps which are there. So we've already created that kind of a distribution. So on-ramp, off-ramp on Polygon is available on 154 countries. I mean, I can go on, but I'll try to take a pause. But these are like some of the facts. I don't know if people realize that, but we have built a system which is connected everywhere, is very easy to use. The cost is super cheap, and like you can use it whenever you want to.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to not like there. And I'm curious, so from when you started in 2021, what was the focus of developing payments on Polygon from 2021, and how has that changed up until current day?
Yeah, I think 21 was majorly like where when it was more of DeFi, people wanted to do DeFi, so we went ahead, we understood DeFi much like a lot deeper into apart from the entire world of Ethereum, like we were one of those like who understood DeFi, so we went there. Payments was not that big apart from some of the countries in Africa or Latam. So I think our first target market when we grew outside was Latam. We onboarded, I think, multiple of those fintechs at that point. I think Nubank was the biggest one that we onboarded at that time. then Mercado, then Lemon, and then like I think Ripio. All these companies were working with Polygon to kind of go out and create like those payment systems. So I think the early adoption of 21 came in from the places where the payment systems were broken, and where like the depreciation of the original currency or the native currency of that country was very high. So that was 21. But now, if you look at it from the perspective of 21 to today, everyone across the world is trying to go and talk about payments. So all the US biggest companies that you can think of, like I think there are at least 20 of the Fortune 100 companies that we are talking to who are looking and exploring on payments. So from that perspective, that is how it has grown. Like a lot of people earlier who were like, oh, we will never use stable coins are developing their own stable coins now. So that is how the kind of maturity is coming in, and that is global. Like I don't see any particular market who is saying that okay, we will never touch stable coins, or we do not want to go into stable coins at all. So that is how, like I think, and the regulations of course like are kind of going out and getting more and more clearer, so that is also helping us. So I think that is where we are coming from and where we're going to.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I think so the payment stuff, stablecoin stuff, obviously is one of my favorite things, and I did wear USDC to $2.
For everybody who can't see Alex, he's wearing our iconic shirt.
The one thing that I feel like is missing that I would love to just get your opinion on is the last point of friction, I think, between where if this existed, I would literally never use anything but USDC again. Some sort of, and we're like in the app world now. So it's the on-ramp, off-ramp portion. So like if I'm out, Nil made the comment here in the chat about the Venmo of crypto, and my response was absolutely, but not imaginary. And because I would so prefer to use USDC for that transit. I need to send $20 to my friend. I'm going to send you USDC, dude. Now you have USDC. You can do something else with it, or you can just send it to your bank. I don't care. That's the friction point. Like, is the off-ramping the USDC to put it in your checking account or your savings account from like that one app point. But I know that there is a ton that goes into just that one little step, from a regulatory standpoint, from like the recognition with all these different banks. Who knows what bank you're using? It's only going to work with some banks at some point, and then it's going to expand to other options. Can you expand just on, like, because I'm sure that I'm not the only person who have ever said that one friction point is like our last big hurdle, but obviously a ton goes into
Correct.
that one step.
I think the way I look at it is a little bit different. Off ramp, like it's available in 154 countries, and the cost will depend on the cost of regulations and like the other cost that is involved there. But the way I look at it is, why do you want to off ramp? Like if you want to go out and do a payment, Polygon has around 15 different cards, which are like debit cards. In fact, like in alpha, like we're also coming out with our own credit card very soon, which means that you literally do not need to off ramp. All you need to do is, if you need to go out and do the payments, that's already there. You're already working on a suite where essentially you can go out and have a plugin in your Apple, Amazon, in your Amazon, or like all these websites, e-commerce websites, which would just go out and stick there. The moment you want to go out and buy something, automatically the money would be deducted from your wallet, which is sitting on that like in USDC, and the payment can be made. So from that perspective, I think the way we are imagining it is like, you don't need kind of to go out into a bank account. You need to invest. Polygon has the biggest variety of assets that ever exist on a blockchain. We're the second biggest after Ethereum, so almost like 300 different types of assets which are there, which range from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So we already are in US, in Europe. Almost every bank in Europe or financial institution in Europe has done something on Polygon, like if they're touched blockchain. So all those assets, like if your investments come on chain, if your expenses can be done on chain, if you have a card to swipe wherever you want to go out and do, why do you want to take the money to your bank account?
Yeah. Why would you leave it to a bank account where you have a more friction environment to conduct finance and commerce?
But so I agree personally. I would never again. Don't need to. Don't want to. Can't wait to get away from the bank for all these things. But I feel like solving that puzzle would probably open the doors to the most like casual users who would then experiment, who might otherwise not, because they need either direct deposit from a job goes into a bank account automatically, or direct withdrawal to pay utility bills or other just like monthly expenses automatically comes out of it. And so I yearn for the day when I can just have USDC to pay my mortgage, and to also pay my electricity bill and the trash bill and the water bill and all that kind of stuff, because that is like automatically deducted from a checking account. Literally the only reason I still have a checking account is because of that. Because the payment stuff, I'm totally with you on, like being able to swipe a card at a store, at a shop, at a whatever. But like when I think about it from the point of view of someone who's like, okay, I don't really know about crypto, but this USDC thing sounds interesting and I'm going to take a stab at it, but I can't convert my whole life to it right now. That's the person I'm thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why, like, so from a perspective of like you going out and off ramping, all the exchanges, like all the 20 top exchanges support Polygon as a chain, which means you can literally send your money to the exchanges and off ramp at no cost. So there is a way for you to kind of off ramp at low cost, which is through the exchanges directly. And like since we are already connected there, all these exchanges would give you a free like off ramp, or they'll charge you a very small fee, like $1 or something. That being said, we're also coming into some of the POS machines as well in the US itself. So you can kind of go, you do not actually need a card itself. You just kind of go out and show your wallet, like through your MetaMask or any wallet, whatever you use. You can just go out and scan the QR code in the POS machine and your payment is done. So I think those things are also coming in. We are working with it. I think we just signed one of the biggest ones in the market to go out and do that. So probably you'll see that in 3 to 4 months.
Is there a demo for that somewhere? Like a 10-second little clip just showing how easy that is?
Because that'd be cool. That'd be a banger.
And if there's not,
do
you need some actors to make
You have
it? Because
Evan will be in the commercial.
listen, man, that would be such a killer commercial. That's like my question here is it seems like you guys have got this whole thing wrapped up. So like, and this might be kind of a sensitive question, but you know, because the Rise Up Morning Show is powered by Polygon, but where are you losing? Like this story should be everywhere, especially considering everybody's trying. You know, we talked to our friends at Stellar who are doing a lot to like bring money on chain. We talked to people, I mean, everywhere. You know, banks are going to have their own stable coins. So where are you losing?
I think on the payments and the RWA side, what we have done is we have done like a tremendous job in bringing the normies in. What we are now working on is to bring the institutional flows. So like think of like the Revoluts of the world, the checkouts of the world, to kind of go out and start doing those payments. So that is like our first focus was like everyone was like focusing towards like all these bigger players. We knew like you need to kind of go out and these bigger players will only come in when the laws are going to come in. So instead of going day one on all these places, because so when I like a funny thing is how I joined crypto. I joined because I was part of American Express, and American Express was, I think, some of their subsidiary invested in XRP. And hence we were running experiments on the blockchain in 2018 with Santander Bank and like XRP, that at 2018 and 19. And from there I came to know about blockchain. But at that time I also realized that these things cannot be used. And when you go to enterprises with solutions which don't work, not only like you take that like you are rejected there, but that gives in their mindset that these things are not ready. So I think the approach that we differentiated on the payment side was, okay, first let's capture the places where the rules and regulations are not a big problem. So that's why we went into Latin, we went into Africa, we went into all the places where moving money was a problem. And now when all these rules and regulations are opening up, now that is where we're going into the institutional flow, and we're like signing up all these bigger players which essentially would use Polygon to move money. So I think that is where the difference is. So you can say that that is like kind of that was like a 5 months back one of our biggest challenge that we had to capture, and hence like that's why like I expanded my payments team. Now the team that we have like is best in the crypto industry because there are 5 dedicated people just working on payments in Polygon, and those people are like ex checkout, ex Revolut, ex BCG guys who have done all this thing in their entire life. Like the guy that I just hired in the US side, he was the first employee of Bridge. He was the guy who actually went out and launched the first debit card, crypto debit card. So all those guys, now is the time to kind of go after that, and we have now the team which is required to go after that, and that is what we have to chase now.
On the topic of Evan, sorry, go ahead.
Take it.
I was going to say, on the topic of institutional payments, the thing that gets talked about the most, I feel like, whether you're on crypto Twitter or crypto TikTok, it's Ripple, XRP, or really Ripple, you know? So why would an institution be maybe more interested in a Ripple or more interested in a Polygon or more interested in, you know, they're doing payments on Solana is rich, right? So I'm curious if there's hey, payments overall for institutions, like it's really should just be Polygon. That's where we're seeing the adoption. Is it other chains as well? I'm just curious to see if you could kind of paint what that landscape looks like. And since most people in crypto TikTok talk about Ripple, there's a huge audience there. I'd be curious about your takes on that as well.
Absolutely. I think what Ripple has, so Ripple has XRP ledgers, which is what they always use to kind of go out and do things. These XRP ledgers are essentially to kind of go out and prove things that these things happen and put on the blockchain itself. What they kind of themselves also are not able to do is they're not EVM compatible. So like when you look at a blockchain, so forget like Ripple or any other blockchain, for you to kind of go out and have like a full financial system, you cannot run a system only by payments, which is like if I just use one particular app to send you money, that is not a financial app. That is just like you sending money from one place to another. You need to kind of have the whole ecosystem. Now, so this is a very simple, like kind of an example that I always say. Let's say you're creating a new nation. The first thing that you need in a new nation is you need to find a way in which people can transact. You have stable coins. Now, once you have these stable coins, there will be people who will be rich. There'll be people who will be poor. There'll be people who would want money. There'll be people who would have excess money. So you need to find a place where people with excess money can put that money in a lending pool so that people who want to borrow money have the capital to be borrowed, right? So that is where so that is one use case. So if I have excess money, I'll put that in a lending pool. If I want to start a business, I need more money. If I have some collaterals, I will borrow from there. So that is one use case. Now let's say after that, once that is done, I would want to kind of not just keep the money, I would want to diversify. So I need multiple different assets which are sitting on the chain, and that's where these real world assets come in, where you can invest in money market funds, credit funds, stocks, shares, and everything like that. And then after that, what you would want to do is you would also want to go out and let's say trade into some assets. So you would want multiple different assets which you would want to buy in, and so all those things like that's like a loop which is there for you to kind of go out and attract long-term use cases. You need to have this entire ecosystem.
Sure.
And if your ecosystem is there, so like for example, Polygon, Solana, and all these other ecosystems, they have that ecosystem. So for them to attract new capital to go out and get these things done is simpler and easier as compared to someone where these systems do not exist. So I think that is the biggest challenge that like players like Ripple and Stellar are facing right now, and that's why like if you look at it, Stellar launched Soroban, put out like $200 million, which is their EVM compatible chain, just to go out and compete. And then you like if you look at Ripple, they launched a stable coin which is going on multiple chains. It's already on Ethereum. It's like about to go on 5 different other chains. Why? Because the ecosystem they are going after ecosystem. The
Yep.
ecosystem is existing on these other chains as compared to like their own chain, and that is where like the difference lies.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of thing, just like a value proposition is like a retail person. It's like, well, I'm in this ecosystem. Granted, one day everything will be interoperable. One day, we're not there yet, but even when that day happens, there's still going to be less friction of doing stuff within the ecosystem you're in, and institutions absolutely are going to think about that same thing. So that makes sense, and is a part of the conversation I haven't been having with people who are just kind of like really focused on Ripple. So I appreciate that. I did have another question, and it was more so around credit cards. So when it comes to payments, the first adoption of payments have been, I think you even said like yourself, like the first people were like in Africa. It's been a large a portion of the world where either inflation has been really high and people wanted access to the dollar in a frictionless way, or a lot of markets with remittances were a lot of the big first adopters of crypto for payments. And then in places like Europe and the US, where there are a lot of credit cards, I've always viewed it as paying a higher barrier to break through to get people interested in doing payments on stablecoins. Because it's like, well, I have my credit card. I have my credit card already. I don't need anything else. So what is your argument or education to those people? You guys have your credit card coming out. So why should someone potentially leave their Amex or their MasterCard and use Polygon's credit card?
Absolutely. I think so. The way we are looking at it is so. I think we did an extensive study on all the debit cards and the credit cards that are issued by crypto, like by crypto companies. You will not believe, but none of the debit cards, maybe one or two exceptions, but none of the debit cards make any money. They're just a way for people. So the way they go out and make money is they will start charging you excess fees on like card issuances, or they will go out and say the conversion fees is 1% and 2%. But then there is another debit card that would come out and say, here is 5% cashback. So I think that is where like all these cards, they're competing with the normal rails of the banking channel. So that is one big problem that we still are trying to see how we solve for this. So all these different cards which are there, we can kind of go out and do that, and that's why you don't have a Polygon debit card. However, on the credit card side, the story changes. Why the story changes is because everyone who's taking credit, though they are credit worthy, but they not always pay the money back on time. What does that mean is that effectively is giving us a big revenue source. Since we don't want to make it like a profitable venture from a credit card, what we can go out and do is we can inject literally everything that is coming back to us back into the ecosystem, which means that for like without spending our money, like as Polygon Labs, like we are not spending the money. What we are going out and getting is the interchange from the credit card company, from which we are issuing, which could be either Visa or Mastercard. We could, so there is an interchange fees that comes back. Then the people who are not paying, their interest rate is just like in any other credit card. That revenue is also coming in. And then like all these Web3 companies who want to go out and enable credit card, because credit card is rarely enabled on any platform. So a lot of these companies want to pay or kind of go out and do a campaign where they can allow credit cards to be used for particular use cases. So technically, there are three different revenue sources that are coming to us. Because of these three different revenue sources, we can actually go out and keep injecting that card with more and more and more like incentives without burning a hole on Polygon, and then like keep that running. So that is kind of the different strategy that we are trying to take. I don't know whether it will succeed or not, but I think that is one of the things where people will be like, oh, this is good. I love this because we're getting effectively. I think one of the other questions that you said on the on ramp, what if like the charges that you pay on the on ramp through a credit card, you get as a like a cashback on your credit card.
That'd be
So
kind of crazy. Yeah.
exactly.
Because
So you get on bust.
let's see. I have several credit cards, and for the Amex card I have, I think I pay a $600 annual fee. So if that could be $600 just like cash back, that'd be great.
Is it the platinum card?
Yeah, it's the top one.
It's more than 600.
I don't know what it is.
It's I think that same card in India is around $750 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So if
it's-
that could be cash back, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And Aishwary, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly too. So with that credit card, because obviously there are interest payments if you're late on a traditional credit card, you said that you could allow people to not have like to be late on payments and not have that interest hit. Did I hear you say that
No,
correctly?
no.
Okay.
I said
Okay.
the
Wait a second.
interest rate is still there. I make the money, but I pass it back to the users in the form of incentives.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So-
Thank you for the clarification.
I think, well, first of all, my big question is if Polygon credit card when Polygon Airport Lounge.
You just walk in, it's a sea of purple. You're like,
It's the
oh, wow.
natural evolution.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, okay, so
Nils behind the bar.
yeah, no, I need Nil making me cocktails at the
Yeah.
Polygon Airport Lounge. I think okay, so the card thing, like you said, it opens up a lot of very interesting doors, especially if you don't necessarily need to capture the revenue from it, because that's the part that makes a credit card is the incentive program. The reason I still have the American Express is because it's the best way that I can use points that I've managed to get from something, right? Like if I want, I can literally just shop on Amazon with Amex points. You never have to spend any money, assuming that you can facilitate it with the number of points and then miles and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see like where that could go, because there's a lot of interesting potential there. And then of course, if we were to lightly segue, if you guys are cool with it, to add a little bit of RWA talk into the
Yeah,
mix
I'm
here,
ready.
Mm-hmm.
that seems like the natural marriage then between RWA and payments, using a credit card as a bridge, being able to add tokenized XYZ whatever into a much more seamless experience through the card to earn this or that or access to this or that. It can all be tokenized. I mean, in that sense, you could add tokenized whatever the hell you want as a piece of the incentive through this credit card. And I mean, then what's the limit? The possibilities are endless.
Correct.
Well, and I've got a
Correct.
question about how.
Yeah.
So you've got this infrastructure that you've laid the groundwork basically to provide on ramps, off ramps, bridges to liquidity, and you've got the relationships. And if you've got the stable coins, all that's really missing is, in my mind, like bringing in real world assets, finding a way to link physical things, especially with an on-chain proof, my poster back here or whatever. But then you got the rails, it's liquid. How are you building those kind of last steps? Like, how do you approach the problem of creating a thread between something physical and a digital proof of ownership on a blockchain?
Yeah, from a perspective of like, I think the way I look at it, what is happening now versus what I want to happen.
Yeah.
Like one of the things, what is happening right now, literally everyone, when you talk about real world assets, they're not actually creating the entire end to end flows on the blockchain. Like even BlackRock, we talk about BlackRock the most, right? But
Sure.
BlackRock is not on chain. What is their on chain is their all like their fund, which is called as Biddle, is just basically a parallel book or like a copy of their original book, which is running on the blockchain.
And they're
So
using
it's
securitized, right,
not
to
that
basically
you're
say this is true.
yeah, this is just to say like this is true, correct? So you can see your assets on chain, you have the value on chain, but the good part about BlackRock's asset is the value is still on chain, irrespective of whether the book is a parallel book or like their order book is not on chain. The asset is there, but like to kind of go out and have this benefit end to end, you need to have those issuances on the chain. You need, which means that the origination of that asset is happening on chain, because once that starts to happen as an origination perspective, what will happen is then you will be not limited to the intermediaries in between. You still like have to heavily depend on intermediaries when these asset tokenizations are happening. So the way like I think in my mind it would evolve is tomorrow, like once BlackRock becomes comfortable thinking like, okay, the assets are sitting on these blockchains, they are really doing good, there's no problem on the custody side, Ethereum is not going anywhere, or like any of those blockchains are not going anywhere, they start issuing these assets on chain. And once those asset issuances start to happen, then the end-to-end flows start to happen. Like you are going out and subscribing through a stable coin, you're buying it, you are kind of going out and using it as a collateral, and then like you can borrow against it, and then after you can borrow against it, you can go out and use wherever you want, then repay back, take your collateral back. All these things are not available in TradFi. Like if you want to go out today and you want to dilute your BlackRock's money market fund on a weekend, it is practically very costly for you to do it.
Yeah.
Like there are overnight funds like where you pay like for 14 days overnight fund if you've taken it, and you want to dilute it like on 10th day, the 10-day interest is gone. So all those things like actually happen. So that is one of the biggest challenge which is there. Another thing that we are doing for the physical side is like, I don't know if you've looked at the Pokemon cards that essentially are like happening on Polygon. They're like crazy. I don't know how the volume comes in. I have zero idea. But I love that volume that is coming in. And like that is one of the things that we're trying to partner with a partner, which essentially would kind of go out and try to custody all these assets which are in the physical format, and then kind of because of that custody with them, there are like a custodian of that sort, and that after that custody has happened, those assets are issued on chain. Like when there is a custodian who is actually a certified custodian in the world, under various rules and regulations and governances, then is that is sometime where you can actually go out and put your asset physically with them and like issue an on-chain version of it, and try to go out and do like a bearer kind of a certificate. Like whoever at the end produces the certificate can go out and claim that asset from the vault or from the custody. I think that is where we will kind of unlock that. The value will only come in if there is a way to create a secondary market. Like primary market, like for most of these things anyways don't exist, and it's basically you go to a shop, you like a particular painting, you buy them off, but that's
Sure.
one single trade. But then the secondary market has to be created. The secondary market can only be created if there is a demand. Like artificially we can kind of go out and incentivize and create all that things which like at Polygon I will never want to go out and do at all. Rather than I would see like if there is an organic demand, you have to bootstrap, happy to put like some incentives and then like take it forward. But the real secondary market would only be created if there is a demand for that asset with or without blockchain. A lot of people think that if we'll put this asset on the blockchain, it would automatically create some demand, which I don't know why they think about. But yeah, I think apart from that, like I think a lot of these assets are actually like seeing that phase where like only the genuine ones are staying. Like I remember 21 people were like they were coming to Polygon and saying, "Oh, we are tokenizing a yacht." I'm like, "Cool, who's gonna buy it?"
Right.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
have no idea. So I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
why are
for
you
sure.
tokenizing a full
It's
yacht?
one
The
of
only
those
thing keeping me
innovative
from buying
products.
yachts right now is that they're not tokenized. It's
Yeah,
the only
right.
reason.
Exactly.
If
That's it.
only.
Because like everyone knows that boats just go up in value. You know, that's saying that the happiest day when you get a boat is
Statistically,
the day you buy it, the day you
great
sell it. That's,
investments.
yeah, it's just a great investment. Gosh, no, Aishwary, I was just like, wow, that's one of those innovative projects that like try to get you a promotion, as you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Well,
They,
to be honest, though, I mean, exactly what you just said, Aishwary, that the reason that I think that has happened thus far is that once it's tokenized, a different class of person can speculate on it, and then it's just a gamble. And then so you can open up the availability to gamble on anything you want, but those always inevitably crater when finally,
Crash.
you know, the least great fool takes the money off the table and walks away, which is obviously just, you know, because if nothing real inflated it in general, then
Exactly.
there you go. But Pokemon has such a huge market, naturally that makes sense. Dude, the second I realized that I could buy tokenized Magic cards on Solana, I did immediately, because I was like, oh my, and because they send you the slab in the mail.
Yeah,
Magic
yeah.
Eden had the thing. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. Instant yes.
Exactly.
So I mean, anything with a real market, I mean, that's where the focus has to be. If you're trying to inflate or, you know, manufacture a market out of thin air just because you slap a token on something, then yeah, 100% doomed to fail.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, our guest is Aishwary Gupta. He is the global head of payments, exchanges, and real world assets over at Polygon. It is about that time for you to share with us your final thoughts and questions for him, because we want to get him out of here on time. We want to be respectful of your time, and we're going to need you, Aishwary, to come back for a round two. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about Rise Up After Dark, but Rise Up After Dark is like the once weekly show where it's the same thing, but we tend to let our hair down a little more and give slightly spicier takes. And I just feel it in my bones. Based on the experience you have, you've probably got some spicy takes that you
A
don't
lot of
share
them.
on CNN. Yeah, I bet. Okay.
Well, no, I'm going to need you to come back just so that you can explain to me what you meant by correct when you. Because I saw that look on your face when you said it, and now I want to know. It's going to keep me up at night.
Only if I did not have an NDA, I could share so much, and like I could like have like a full month of like love with you guys.
Oh, Evan
Full
forgot to mention.
professional.
Full month of love.
NDAs actually don't apply to After Dark. They
Oh,
all
yeah,
have
that's
the
right,
clause
that's
that's
right.
just baked in. We all look the other way.
We do have some really great comments here coming in from folks who say, we want to follow you. We're so bullish on Polygon. What an amazing time to be ahead of the curve. Great guest, etc., so on and so forth. So let me say this, that if you want to follow Aishwary, you can easily follow him over on X at 0x Aishwary. I'm curious to know, I see you're rocking that, is that a Milady PFP over here?
Yeah, it's a Milady.
Okay. Are you an OG Milady, or did you just get on like after like the community kind of established and got some hype? I feel like there are a lot of OGs in the Milady
I
community.
mean, I probably like did not buy the top, if that's what you're asking me. But yeah, that's still like, I think when I bought it, it was like still 4 ETH or something.
Yeah. Cool. So you can follow him at 0x Aishwary. And then is there anywhere else that people should like look to connect with you, or anything else that you've got coming up that they can support or look out for as Polygon keeps building?
I mean, this and LinkedIn, these are the two places that I post on.
Okay. And LinkedIn, it's just search your name, Aishwary Gupta.
Yeah, CA Aishwary Gupta.
Okay, great. And what is CA? It's a type of accountant, right?
Yeah, it's a taxonomy for the Indian chartered accountant. So CA is chartered accountant, equivalent to CPA in US.
Okay, very cool. Man, we're going to put all those links in the show notes, because I think you're about to get a lot of new followers, and they're all going to say, hey, can I get access to the Polygon Airport Lounge?
That if we have that, we will definitely go out and give that.
Yeah. Okay, guys, do you see any other questions in the comments that I'm missing real quick? Because I want to make sure that we get them if we do. Tori says, I love your glasses, Aishwary.
Thank you.
No, I had that same thought earlier. I was like, yes, the subtle polygon purple.
I just just sent you a request on LinkedIn. I'll tag you over there in the broadcast too, because the show is actually live on LinkedIn as we speak. So what's up, LinkedIn?
Done.
And that would be great. I love it when people use. I keep telling people when I talk at conferences that like TikTok, everyone is sleeping on TikTok for sure, and we're kind of starting to wake up to it. But LinkedIn is like an awesome spot for like really good Web3 conversation. I get less engagement there, but the type of engagement and like the comments and the conversations that I've had with people specifically on LinkedIn about this are so good. The best questions, the best like back and forth banter with like some skepticism, but like really well reasoned stuff. It's really, really good. I keep wishing that like we had more of like the good voices on crypto Twitter who, you know, do like the longer write-ups. Like, dude, just put them on LinkedIn. I promise it's a good spot for it.
It's a great spot for it. You actually get like genuine
Yeah.
feedback.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Aishwary,
start doing that. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead. I was gonna ask you for something else.
No. I said I'll start posting more on LinkedIn.
Yeah. You post more and then I'll post more maybe eventually. There's just so much. There's so many social medias and so little time. My question was going to be, you mentioned earlier talking about kind of really solving problems for people who need access to funds, liquidity. There was a really good post on X. Can't remember who wrote it. Can't remember everything it said, but it kind of lambasted the crypto space. It really took a strong shot at us, saying we raise a lot of money, we talk a good game about how we're actually going to fix problems for people who don't have a stable currency, who can't make a payment, who have to deal with extractive business practices, but we don't deliver a lot to them. If you had to give a pitch, because I talk to a lot of these people, we all do every day, and I don't want to seem disingenuous. I don't want to seem like a hypester or a fraudster. Do you have a simple pitch that you give to people when you explain how you're you did a lot in this episode to really unpack it, but like what's the quick and dirty answer that you feel is really helpful to let
it's
people
very
know
simple.
that we're
Like
fixing stuff?
what we are trying to go out and do is, I would never kind of go out and say that we are doing charity as a business. But what we are kind of going out and enabling is like where like if you want to genuinely kind of go out and have a way in which the payments can work for you, or like you want to like safeguard your money or keep your money on chain. I think Polygon is one of those places where people are like very comfortable going out and doing that, and probably like one of those so that is like one of the things which is there. The cost from a gas perspective, like how you're doing the transactions and all those things, they are like super cheap. So like we are not kind of going out and extracting value from users. The gas fees is like $0.01 per transaction or something. So from that is something which we are already doing. We kind of going out and ensuring whatever value we can give back to the users, we're kind of going out and giving that. But that being said, like I hate when people kind of go out and use this as a way to show that they care for the community, or like they're doing it for charity. I think let's be honest that what we are doing is it's just ensuring that if people want to use something, it's available there, and if the demand is there, we would be there. So that is, I think, one of the ways that I would pitch it to anyone.
Okay. Well, then, do you have a final thought? Last question, good joke, word of wisdom before we send you off on the rest of your very busy day?
No, I think it was like a very good show. Thank you for hosting me here. Word of wisdom is like, I think one of the things that like one thing that I like every day wake up on is like I anticipate that I'm trying to go out and change the world by making it a better place. Not because like I want to help, like it's because not because I'm saying that this is something that like kind of is my business or my job, but this is basically what keeps me going. Like I've been working at Polygon for 4 years. I've probably taken like 10 days of leave in 4 years, and I still keep going, still spend like 14, 18 hours, at least like 14 hours per day in it, just because I love doing that. And I feel that there is something that over time would change by the tech that we're kind of going out, building, and pushing out in the market.
Cool. Well,
Love that
thank
passion.
you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest today is Aishwary Gupta. Find him on X at 0x Aishwary or CA Aishwary Gupta on LinkedIn. We'll have all the links in the description, and we will send them to you so that you can share them with folks. If you're crazy enough to admit that you spent time hanging out with us, and we would love to have you back soon, man. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Have a
Bye
good
for
day,
now.
everyone.
See you, Aishwary.
Woo-wee. This seems like a good time to reset the room by telling you that the Rise Up Morning Show is powered by Polygon. But even if we weren't, my God, we would have Aishwary on the show anytime. What a great guest. Woo.
Yeah,
And
and he was just casually talking. He was like, "Yeah, the Polygon credit card." Da, 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 da. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "What? Huh? Wait a second. Is that old? That's new. That's new."
Yeah, we're definitely going to need some more details on that. Nil, we need a one-pager, we're going to need a sample, and we definitely need access to the Polygon Lounge. And I do want to say, if you're into the early alpha from the Polygon ecosystem, then tune back in tomorrow, because tomorrow on the show, we have got Lewis Chunky Edwards of FSL, which you might recognize from Step and Token. They're making a big announcement before the show that they'll unpack in detail with us. And then in the second hour, we've got Crypto Texan from Katana. So it's like the Polygon Power Punch combo this week on the Rise Up Morning Show. Thursday, we've got our friend Blake returning from Myosin. And we've got Dr. Adam Lowe, co-founder of Arculus. And I can't wait to see what they say about our blue banana friend. I will say yes, doctor. He is a dolphin.
Yes. I did see one question where it's like, "Hey, when you have guests come on, do you tell them beforehand that there's a dolphin on the show?" And sorry, I don't have my dolphin head on, everybody. It's particularly warm today, so
It's hard.
this thing's gonna need a wash at the end of the week.
What do you guys think about that? What stood out? I really was just blown away. The stat that stands out in my mind is over 40% of micropayments on any chain, anywhere, are happening on Polygon. I was like, okay.
It's funny because when you started the show off and you were like, "Hey, maybe a year ago, I didn't really know what was going on Polygon." And I was like, yeah, honestly, Polygon, I wasn't really paying attention at all what was happening on Polygon. Because I was just like, cool, there are a bunch of layer 2s and they're all doing layer 2 stuff, and Polygon's doing layer 2 stuff. The last time that I had seen an announcement that I was paying attention to that was, like a year and a half ago, was when they announced their partnership with Immutable X, just because I love Web3 gaming so much. So I was kind of tuned in on that. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I started digging into it a bit more. Maybe that was even 2 years ago now at this point. But and then afterwards, I was just like, okay, I guess Polygon's just doing like layer 2 stuff. Like they made Ethereum fast and cheap, and they're just kind of hanging and chilling. That's what I just kind of assumed like every L2 was doing until Coinbase started making Base. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now they're going to make Base, and Base is just going to do the same thing, right? They're going to make Ethereum fast and cheap, tied to Coinbase, yada, yada, yada. And then we started having conversations with Polygon. I mean, basically through my connections with you guys, like I was able to get some insider information as to what Polygon was building. And then obviously we've become friends with them and a working relationship. And it was like, oh shit, oh damn. Like I assumed a lot of these layer 2s were just like resting back on their laurels and just being like, we did it. Ethereum's fast and cheap. Let the money roll in, baby. We're done. Yeah, that's what I thought a lot of them.
Correct.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought they were doing. Honestly, Will from not just 9 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, they're just like, I don't know, there it is. So it's really cool to see the amount of innovation that's coming. And it's also cool to see just how many players in this space are targeting and talking to like large institutions. Like it's just, we've 4 years ago, 5 years, we're like, the institutions are coming, guys. Oh yeah, they're here. They're right around the corner. And now it's just like, oh, like now they're actually here. We were just 4 years too early when we were saying that with our hashtags institutions here for Bitcoin and DeFi and all that. But now it's actually like legitimately here, which is cool.
I mean, this is why we pursued Polygon to do this campaign with specifically, just because of that. Because I was like, you guys are one of those weird ones where it's not problematic, but we don't know anything about all the shit you guys have been doing. Nobody does. So perhaps it's time to inform people, and let's start talking about all the things that we do, which is just like such a weird. It's such a miss, like in Web3 in general, is that the people doing the most work often forget that critical step of like letting everybody know. And I mean, if you like put it in the words of Alex Hormozy, as he's giving his like little nugget of wisdom about marketing, it's like, yeah, go do shit and then tell people about the shit you do. It's such
there it is.
Yep, but for some reason in crypto we don't do it, or we just tweet about it, and then nobody knows still, because it never leaves Twitter.
Never leaves Twitter.
I just want to point out this comment from Team Sosa. Alex's face when Aishwary said
Dude.
normies.
I know.
I know. No,
I think I made a face too. I was like,
directly at Alex. I looked directly to Alex. I was like, I was like,
It was a light for those of you in podcast land. I heard the word normie and I went just a light.
he brought his lips together tightly.
We'll speak
Hey,
about
guys,
this later.
the Polygon token right now is up 4% since we started filming. So
You're welcome.
maybe it's us. You're welcome. You're welcome. Actually, no, wait. Since we started filming, it's up only 1.5%. But you're welcome.
Never mind. Okay, wait, Will. Without anything to do with anything, I did want to say, because I took a little bit of Solana profit the other day, because this is just the way that it works. If we just pivot real quick, brief segue to altcoins for those of you guys who are doing altcoins.
Dude, altcoins are ripping, and they're gonna.
Seriously.
I do one altcoin thing, and it's swing trade Solana, and I never look at charts. I check the price like once every 2 or 3 days and decide buy, sell, and that's it. That's the extent of my analysis. But so to recap where I'm at right now, bought larger at $97. The second it hit sub 100, that's all I wanted to see was sub 100 Solana again. Sold incrementally all the way up to 180, and then it went to what, like 145. It went a little bit lower, but 145 is where I had my mark. Got some, hit 160 yesterday, sold about half of that, 140.
Mhm.
So still exposed, still have a chunk that is not going anywhere, that is just staked on Marinade, or earning that sweet yield, which, shameless plug, you can get for yourself thanks to the Marinade link that they were so kind enough to give us, which gives you the best native staking APY anywhere on Solana, which is
Anywhere on Solana.
there's nothing to buy, just money to earn. And
Yep.
it's my favorite type of commercial
Oh,
ever.
and Nikki
Would you
clarified
like
this for
to make
me.
more?
Wouldn't you like to make more? Nikki clarified for me that even if you already stake with
Yeah.
Marinade, all you got to do is go to Marinade via our link and add any amount of Sol, and they'll like recalculate your whole amount
Oh,
to
so
earn the bonus APY.
Well, that's
And
easy.
it does help the show when they see that more people are staking with Marinade through our link. So if you want to support the show and you're staking Sol and you want to get more money for it, then hey, head to the riseupmorningshow.com and check out the recommended tools and deals tab. There's a button right there. Super easy.
That startup that I worked on last year for a little bit, I still think about all the time because it was just the coolest idea ever. I would so rather get the show supported by people just staking and earning their yield. Like,
Yeah, right.
Stake in support instead of paying us is such a cool. That's like the most Web3 subscription model of all time.
Yeah. We cut out the middlemen so that you could have more, and now maybe you can give more too. You can share more.
Yep.
Why not?
Earn more yield and support the show.
Do you want to support us? Yeah, but I don't really give influencers money. Okay. Would you like to make more money on your investment? Yes. Okay, go do that. Wait,
How'd
but
you
so
like
me
to do
earning
both?
more money on my investment helps support the show? It does. Yes.
I am a big fan of this.
I am a big fan of this.
In answer to the question, so actually, depressive hacks. By the way, it's wonderful to see you on TikTok.
Yeah, for real. I noticed that too. I was like, hey.
Yeah, shout out to the most epic and thoughtful reply guy that I know.
Yeah,
anywhere.
probably the most engaged user of crypto Twitter. Every time I see somebody, and a good like
Everywhere.
culture curator, I see depressive hacks in the comments of people I know, like, and trust all the time. And I'm
It's
like,
literally how I know that, like, okay, whatever this comment is on is worth taking a look at, is worth reading.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
shout
you're
out.
First
everywhere.
Tech has been on fire.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was better yield than Jito. This is perfectly and appropriately timed because I just had a meeting with Jito yesterday.
Yeah.
So first of all, Jito's coming on the show before too long. We're working it out. But I was specifically running a whole bunch of comparison analysis on Jito versus Marinade yesterday. So the short answer is yes. Specifically better native yield on Marinade than Jito. But the rates kind of fluctuate a little bit. Jito also has quite a good yield percentage for sure. However, The specific advantages there. So there's some differences. Marinade's staking, their the way that they delegate their number validator, all this kind of stuff, is actually it's quite a bit more decentralized because the purpose is a little bit different. On Goodnow, and actually Marinade does also stake with the Goodnow validator.
Interesting.
On Goodnow, it's more specifically curated because the point is then that you do different things afterwards. So they are more interested in you liquid staking your soul with Goodnow to then take Goodnow soul and go do more things. There are more like specific on-platform options. There's different loops. There's more restaking options. It's kind of a different style of DeFi. So it's a little bit different level. So it kind of really, I think they're a beautiful like marriage.
Yeah, can you play it with them together? Like get MSOL maybe from staking on Marinade, and then are there options on Goodnow to go play with it?
I haven't tried yet, but my impression is
I did that. No, or was it another platform? Because when I was airdrop farming, this was 2023 or 2024, I can't remember when. I staked on Marinade, I staked on Goodnow, and I staked somewhere else. And then I took my collateralized formula and just took them all across all the others and started earning interest there to try to like get as many points as airdrop points as possible. So I think I took my MSOL on Goodnow. Wait, is it Goodnow or Goodnow?
That was going to be my question. Is now that you've had a meeting with
Goodnow.
them, Alex?
Goodnow?
Goodnow.
Okay. Goodnow.
Fact check yourself, brother.
So anyway, yes, the answer is basically that the yield specifically. So for the person who is like the more casual user who really just wants to earn high yield and keep some souls somewhere safe, Marinade for sure, best native yield. And actually, you can liquid stake on Marinade too. So there are still like DeFi options in both places. I would keep an eye on the yields, and I would take this as an opportunity to specifically dig into exactly what you want to do. What kind of DeFi user do you want to be? Where is your interest? Because there are so many options. There are so many options, and I think that's the most beautiful part about the entire industry is that like if you wanted to do a little bit of this for a little bit of time, okay, cool. Hey, like I don't have time to dig into like the restaking and looping options and all this kind of stuff that I can do on Goodnow. I'm not paying attention. I'm going on vacation. I'm going on sabbatical. Put it on Marinade, farm the better yield, do whatever. Then you come back and you want to take a few soul and do some experimenting. Then go do that, right? Or anything in between. I think that's my favorite part. Just like the way these things all work together is just so freaking cool.
Alex, what's going on with Phantom? And Will, maybe you can comment on this too, because I know that like our button wasn't working, especially for like some kinds of users, and I thought Phantom was
Is
involved.
Phantom not working on Marinade anymore? Because that's what I've always done.
No, it is.
Okay.
It is. But I really, not just because it's my favorite wallet experience, but there's some weird things with Phantom lately too. Nil or anybody, if you can hook me up with some, I just have questions. Like, so the anchor thing is so weird because, like, for example, my mom and I both used Phantom to stake Paul on Anchor because Phantom supports Polygon. It was an option. Clicked connect wallet. There was a Phantom button. Clicked it, connected, staked. I've got Anchormatic or Anchor Paul in the wallet. Okay. The option's not there to connect anymore. The Anchor team seems confused about it. I can personally get back to it if I go to the in-app browser, go to Phantom or go to Anchor through the Phantom web browser, connect that way. I could see the stake there. My mom does not have that option. It does not allow her to connect Phantom inside of Phantom on Anchor. And I'm like, this officially makes absolutely no sense. And I would really like an answer.
I feel like Amy Street is watching this, leaning back in her chair, sipping her drink, being like, "I told you there was what was it? Soulflare.
Soulflare. But
I told you to use it. That's just Solana. That only works on.
Yeah, Amy would tell you too that her favorite multi-chain, if she was ever going to go to one of those other chains for a little bit, would be Phantom. She would do it for that.
Oh, okay.
That's how she. When I asked her about that specifically on her episode, that's what she said. Is that, you know, if she's Solana only, it's Soulflare all day, every day. If she's doing multi-chain stuff, it's Phantom.
Gotcha.
Alex, I just can't get over the way you said like I need some help here. You really sounded like a like a lost kid who was like, I need a trusted adult.
I am,
Like
dude.
a
I
kid
need
who
an
was
adult.
looking for his mom in the grocery store, but got lost. Now
So if
lonely.
you know
Here's the
somebody
problem.
on the
my
Phantom
mom is
team,
also lost in the grocery store with me.
My
Right
mom
now.
is also, yeah, exactly.
Me and my mom are lost in the grocery store.
But just walking up to strangers, I need help. Oh no, I'd help Linda first. I'm sorry, Alex.
No, I would too, dude. I would too. But yeah, if anyone has a connection at Phantom, tell them I said I need an adult.
Mhm. Hey man,
Also, shout out if you're like looking for a job in Web3, Phantom's hiring about 88,000 people right now. So take free plug. You're welcome, Phantom. Go
Oh,
look at their jobs board. It's freaking huge. There's
and
so
you know
much stuff.
who else is hiring too is Milk Road. I actually wanted to share this
Ooh.
job with our friends. Hang on, give me a second. I'm gonna throw up the screen.
No,
Share.
honestly, I'll do the same thing because there's a lot. The reason I bring it up is because there's a lot of non-engineering jobs available right now.
Yeah. Okay, first of all,
because that's
depressive
sales
hack says,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Will. Depressive hack says, I too need an adult. And Robert Stegler says, everyone needs an adult. I need an adult. Okay, here's the description. I'll show you how to get to it. If you're in podcast land, where you want to go is at Milk Road Daily for this one. Milk Road is not unlike the Rise Up Morning Show. They are mostly text-based. They do like daily crypto newsletters, hot takes, that kind of thing. You can sign up for free if you go to their website, that kind of stuff. But they also had a job listing for a social media manager, and this would specifically be good for somebody who is, I think, a TikTok native creator. I feel like they do text well, and you'll probably start there, like Twitter and memeing and stuff. I have a feeling they're going to want to expand to short form video, and the reason I have a feeling is because somebody from their team DM'd me and was like, hey, we have a job opening. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, I don't really have the bandwidth, but let me tell you, I know a lot of people, and I think a lot of them might be good for this. So it looks like they want somebody who is trying to create social media content, who will start working with their team, brainstorming, engaging with how they do things, and then eventually doing stuff on your own. If you got a strong understanding of blockchain, if you can create memes tailored to a crypto audience, and you've got some experience managing or creating on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, especially bonus if it's related to crypto, then you should check them out and tell them that the Rise Up Morning Show sent you. That would be a big help to the show. Do you know where the Phantom jobs are best found? Probably just their website, yeah?
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. Were you
Okay,
talking
well,
to me?
Just before it cuts, if I disappear, my power just went out, but it
Oh,
came right
God.
back on, so my
Okay.
Wi-Fi might.
Hey
We'll see.
guys,
We'll see what happens.
with Alex about to be rugged, I gotta run. I have a meeting at 9:30 that is important.
Damn, what are you guys doing?
I think
Rugging me. Okay, then
I'm sorry.
final thoughts, me.
Totally forgot.
It's okay.
Final thoughts. Bitcoin dominance is falling. It is losing a lot of bullish momentum going into bearish momentum. Really good for altcoins. So keep your eyes on that. I've made a position in Virtuals protocol earlier this morning. And also my original TikTok account is still not working. So if you are watching me on the TikToky, this is my new backup account. It's called dolphin_coin_guide. At the end of this week, if my old account is not back, I will no longer be a dolphin. We'll change the name to something a little bit more air quotes serious, a little bit more professional. And yeah, so I appreciate all follows and engagement. But good luck with your trades, everybody. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Take some profits on the way up. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Will. Alex, are you gonna make it over there?
I think so. Yeah, it would have cut by now, so I think I'm good.
Okay, then let me say shout out to Tori, big time shout out, because she suggested to find the jobs at Phantom, why don't you just try their website and adding the extension /jobs, which is such a novel idea. I did it, and what do you know? I found the careers at Phantom page. So if you go to phantom.com, nice job bagging the domain, /jobs, it'll redirect you to the actual URL, which is phantom.com/careers. Put in either, whatever's simplest for you. You can click a button to browse full-time jobs. Looks like they've got many positions not related to just being a dev. They've got a content strategist, data scientist, brand marketer, a copywriter. That's a great position. They've got product design. They've even got a legal position open. So check that out. I'm bullish.
They do need a writer. They're Depressive, they're hiring a copywriter right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go, Depressive Hacks. Could be you. The only thing missing, we often say, is you. It's about that time, too, that we round up our dogs and ponies in a, corral or something and ride them off into the sunset. So if you've got a final
I don't
question.
think dogs and ponies are meant to be stored in the same corral.
You don't think they're meant to be stored in the same corral? Well, put them in your U-Haul, throw them in a box, or let them roam and bring them this way. Your questions, your suggestions, your predictions. And speaking of predictions, while people get their questions ready, I do want to highlight this again. We said it yesterday, but it's honestly worth saying every day this week because it is huge news that our show sponsors, Polygon, are finding big-time product market fit, not just with payments, not just with real-world assets, but now the Polymarket team has become the official prediction market partner of X. And, I think that's going to pan out to be a really big deal, don't you?
So I got to be honest, I don't really follow prediction markets. I don't participate in them. I know about Polymarket even beforehand, just because it was the one that everyone was just quoting and using and referencing for everything everywhere. So, I mean, it makes sense. I've become a little bit more interested in just checking and tracking these kinds of things but no, I mean, I think that's a huge deal. That's a crazy deal.
For people who don't know what Polymarket is, it's a prediction market that will allow you to open a market or speculate on a market for just about anything. Right now, they've got it pinned in their Twitter profile that you can start speculating on betting that the OKC Thunder, will win the NBA championship. For just, looks like 75 cents, you can bet on that. There's a bet right now that a 5 KT meteor strikes Earth, that the U.S. enters a recession this year. So many things. You could speculate on, will Alex ever shave his mustache? If you've got a bet and a time frame for it, then you can take the yes or no side. And what's interesting about Polymarket and prediction markets generally is that a lot of statisticians, smarter than me, or at least more well-read on this, talk about how the wisdom of crowds for certain things is often more informed than a single expert's opinion. And Polymarket has broken news. It has been used to help news spread because speculation adds velocity to an idea. And there's a lot of really interesting thought work about how we're going to use prediction markets increasingly, and Polymarket is the most well-positioned one, blockchain-based markets, to do those kinds of things. Share news, increase the velocity with which information is shared, value things, predict things together. So check it out, polymarket.com, and let them know we're proud of them. Way to go. Thanks for your work. Don't let Elon do anything too crazy. What do we got in the comments, Al? Any good final thoughts? Good questions?
I can take a quick scan. I was just going to say there was one good question just as a request for a kind of roundup collection of places to stake different things. So we could definitely do a little, I can throw a write-up in Discord. The easiest way to do that is for you to let me know which things you're interested in staking. But actually, Evan, if you stall, by the way, two soundboard addition requests. I need a stall button, and I also want Aishwary clipped with correct, because I want to use both of those constantly.
I'm going to start. I'll have to use correct probably in place of that would be a good one.
We'll memorialize him on the board.
I like the stall button. Okay, while you do that, let me say we also had a really good question from Depressive Hacks earlier about, or a clarification. He said something about be wary when you stake using your cold storage wallet. And I just wanted to clarify that most cold storage wallets can be used to stake these days. And they often have interfaces built into the apps that you use to access them in a more user-friendly way. Like Ledger Live will allow you to set up staking natively with validators that they source and secure, but you can also use it to choose your own validators, and you can do this without exposing your private key to the internet. You can keep your cold wallet cold doing this. I don't personally recommend it for a variety of reasons. The first reason is I don't necessarily want my cold wallet address everywhere on chain. I I don't want people to know it. See, I mean, if they do, it's no big deal. But I don't want it to be like super tied up in my identity the way my, ENS domain is. My conversations with Evan.eth address is out there for anybody anywhere to see. The other thing is I don't want to click a bad link and sign a bad transaction and compromise my cold wallet. You've heard us talk on the show before about sort of a layered wallet strategy where your cold wallet, it doesn't connect to anything. It protects your most valuable assets. And then you might use a holding wallet, which functions as a go-between for your wallets. If you receive a payment somewhere on the internet, you might send it to your holding wallet before you send it to cold storage. If you want to move something out of cold storage into a social wallet, you might use a holding wallet so that nobody is seeing your cold wallet linked there directly, so you don't click a bad link. And then social wallets are like, throwaway. I want to try a new protocol, spin up a wallet. It's free. Whatever you want with it, plug it in anywhere, and then, just throw that thing away. Don't even wash your hands afterwards, kind of deal. That kind of wallet hygiene creates some distance between the people who want to take your assets on the internet and your most precious, secure stuff. Is that good? Enough stalling?
Yeah, perfect.
What?
Don't even wash your hands after.
Yeah, Depressive Hack said, okay, please wash your hands, though.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
That was not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. Yeah.
I've got two resources. If you've seen the show before, you have seen both of these, but if you are new, these are great ones to bookmark. The first one doesn't index everything, but it is a good collection of like the big ones. So if you go to DeFiPrime.com, not sponsored. I don't know why I'm not at this point. They should just give me a job. You can click on, I'll show you okay, so if you go right to the homepage here, DeFiPrime.com, staking is one of the categories. I'll give Evan just a second to flip that around.
Sorry, go ahead. You go, I'll catch up.
So staking is a category that you can hit on the first page, and it looks like this right here, over here. There you go. Hit staking. You're going to go to this page right here. So this big list of linkable, clickable links right here are all of the different things that they index staking for, and then down here are all of the protocols that they. This is a very curated list. This is not everybody. So, and these are not sorted by TVL. These are not sorted by volume, by revenue, or anything like that. You'll see some names that you recognize. There's Marinade, there's Anchor, there's Lido, there's Dokia, there's a whole bunch. So this is a good place to start. But then what you can also do is go over to the Llama. And on the Llama, you can, on this sidebar right here, just click on top protocols right there. And then over here, they're all sorted by category. So you can see the blockchain that they're on, lending, liquid staking, restaking, liquid restaking, trading, all this other kind of stuff that you can do here. So you can search for the chain that you're interested in finding staking options or protocol options for. And then you can sort by all of these different categories. If you're only interested in where you can lend or where you can liquid stake, you can do all of that right here as well. So that would be my final thought. These are both great places to explore. The nice part about the way that the Llama does it, DeFi Llama, that is, if you pick, I don't know, let's say, okay, so looking at Solana, we were just talking about Jito. So here you go. I can come right over here to Jito's big profile page, and you can get all of this information. It's about $3 billion TVL. You can see volume, you can see liquidity, you can see all this kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of different options for adding new layers to this chart here. Yada, yada, whatever. Links to the website, to the social media. You can sort by their liquid staking. You can sort by their restaking. You can sort by just tracking their MEV tips. Topic for another time. Put a pin in MEV if you're not familiar with the term. And there you go.
Beautiful. I knew you were going to do it. Look at that guy. Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for us to share our final thoughts, for all of us to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset, and then we will get together again tomorrow. Don't forget, FSL is coming on the show, as is Katana. So get your samurai swords ready. You need one. Maybe we can get Rum's branded samurai swords. And I got to say, Nil, wherever you are, man, I'm still waiting on my Polygon mug. We are missing the biggest opportunity for product placement maybe ever on our show. If one day you saw me and instead of our three faces, this ego, this altar to our egos, it was just a big old purple Polygon mug, I think people would lose their minds.
Bullish on mugs. Can always
Bullish
have
on
them.
mugs.
Always need
What's
more
your
mugs.
what's your final thought, brother?
That's it, man. DeFi Prime, DeFi Llama, not sponsored by, should be.
The 8 Ball says self-custody now.
I will absolutely die on this hill.
And I think we'll get into that with Dr. Adam Lowe of Arculus on Thursday. So, my friends, don't forget, check out all the links at theriseupmorningshow.com. If you haven't yet, then give us a look on your favorite podcasting platform because we are there. Leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify. I still have a request for comment going out to somebody who leaves a random comment who will win a fabulous merch package, and we would love for it to be you. There's so much more at theriseupmorningshow.com. There's the Discord server. There are all of our friends and guests, and my friend, the only thing missing is you. So, everybody, thanks for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, please stay safe, be well. Everybody, rise up.